Okay, so today we're diving into something super important, especially in the world of software development: verification and validation. Now, these terms might sound like they're basically the same thing, but trust me, they're totally different beasts. And our source material here, it lays it all out, how these two concepts, they're actually distinct processes that happen in a specific order.
Right, yeah, you hear them used almost interchangeably, but there's a real difference in what they focus on.
Exactly. So, our mission today is to make sure you walk away with a crystal clear understanding of how these two approaches, verification and validation, they work together to ensure software quality. We've got definitions, we've got tables that break down the differences, and even some practical examples, all pulled from our sources to really help illustrate the concepts. Sounds good.
Let's do it. I think this is something a lot of people, even those who work with software every day, can get a lot clearer on.
Absolutely. So, first up, let's tackle verification. Our source material tells us that verification is all about checking things. We're talking documents, design specs, code, you name it. It's about making sure that everything, and I mean everything, lines up perfectly with the initial requirements. So it's proactive, right? We're making sure that the software is built right from the get-go.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Proactive quality control. The idea is to guarantee the quality of the software's design and architecture.
Exactly. So we're looking at the blueprints, making sure all the foundational pieces are solid. And the source material mentions a bunch of methods used in verification: reviews, walkthroughs, inspections. And get this, no code execution.
Right. At this stage, we're not running the software. We're not even looking at how it functions. It's all about examining the plans.
Yeah, making sure those plans are rock solid.
Yeah.
So lots of scrutiny, lots of double checking. And of course, the QA team is deeply involved here, ensuring that everything aligns with that crucial document, the software requirements specification, or SRS.
Right. That SRS document, it's like the Bible for the project.
Absolutely. And all of this happens before we even think about moving on to validation. But to give you a really concrete example, think about a simple submit button. Verification would involve, say, reviewing the design document for that button and spotting a spelling error, like submit. We catch it and correct it before a single line of code is written.
Exactly. Verification is about making sure those specifications are correct.
Okay, so now let's shift gears and talk about validation. Our source describes validation as this dynamic mechanism of actually testing the finished product. It's where we finally see if the software really works.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Verification is like checking the recipe, and validation is actually tasting the dish.
I like that analogy. So validation is about making sure the software does what it's supposed to do, right? It's about ensuring that it meets the actual needs and expectations of the user, the person who's going to be using it every day.
Precisely. The goal is
And to do that, we need to roll up our sleeves and get hands-on with the software. The methods here, things like black box testing and white box testing, they all involve actually running the code, right?
absolutely. With validation, we're interacting with the live software.
So thinking back to our submit button example, in the validation phase, we'd actually click that button. We'd test it to make sure it responds correctly and actually submits the data.
Right. Verification corrected the spelling. Validation confirms the functionality.
Perfect. And to really drive this home, our source material provides this really helpful table that lays out the key differences between verification and validation. I think it's worth going over some of those key points.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to summarize the distinctions.
Okay, so first up, verification checks the documents. Validation, on the other hand, tests the actual product, the live software.
Another big difference is code execution. Verification doesn't involve running any code, while validation is all about executing the code.
Exactly. And the methods used are different too, right? Verification relies on things like reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections, while validation uses different types of testing, like black box and white box testing.
And perhaps most importantly, verification checks against the initial specifications, while validation checks against the actual needs and expectations of the user.
That's a huge point. It's not just about checking the blueprint. It's about making sure the finished product solves the real-world problem.
And of course, verification happens before validation. Catching errors early during verification can prevent costly rework later.
So to sum it all up, verification is basically asking, did we build it correctly according to the plan? And validation is asking, did we build the right thing, something that actually meets the user's needs?
Right on. One focuses on the process of building, the other on the suitability of the outcome for the user.
And that brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Think about your own projects, whether it's building a website, writing a book, or even planning a vacation. Are you taking the time to verify your steps along the way to make sure you're on track? And are you also validating, are you stepping back and asking yourself, is this actually going to achieve what I set out to do? Is it going to meet the needs of the people who will be using or experiencing it?
Food for thought, for sure.
Absolutely. These concepts, verification and validation, they're not just for software. They're powerful tools that can help us in all sorts of endeavors.
I totally agree. And understanding the difference can make a huge difference in the success of anything we take on.
Couldn't have said it better myself.